For Eric Spoelstra, winning doesn't require signing the biggest stars or employing the flashiest plays. Sometimes it's about finding those diamonds in the rough. And no one does this better than him. Spoelstra doesn't just coach teams, he builds them. He turns underrated players into household names. He gives them a purpose and turns their career right side up. Follow us as we dive into the story of the coach who wins with players that no one thought he could. Who is Eric Spoelstra? Eric isn't your run-of-the-mill NBA coach. He was born on November 1st, 1970, in Evanston, Illinois, to John Spoelstra, a longtime NBA executive. Eric was born with basketball in his blood. From a young age, he was exposed to as much basketball as he could, growing up courtside. He would soak up the tips and tricks of the game before he could even hold a ball properly. Eric was special, paying attention to all that happened on the court as much as he could. While a lot of coaches come from a career of playing the game itself, Eric wasn't too interested in that. Although he played point guard for the University of Portland, his skills and athleticism weren't what you would call spectacular. What set him far from the rest wasn't his stats on the court, it was his mind. He would often break the game down, analyzing the patterns. Eric understood strategy on a very deep level, and this would come to be the bedrock for his coaching career. Spoelstra was dedicated to making his career take that Hollywood turn, and in 1995, it finally did. He landed a job with the Miami Heat, but not for an exciting position like you'd think. He has started in the video room. Yep, the same video room where coaches would send interns to cut tape and run play analysis for hours on end. For others, this was torture. But for Eric, he was right at home. He didn't just survive the gig, he thrived gracefully. Pat Riley, the Heat's coach at that time, would go on to see something in this young man. It would be years before Spoelstra finally got the recognition he deserved, climbing from video coordinator to assistant coach, and finally, he would become the head coach in 2008. And here's the crazy part. He was doubted left, right, and center. After all, how could a guy who didn't start on the court and had zero legendary feats to prove his ability be anything but a terrible coach? However, Eric was ready to prove them wrong. He could handle the pressure of leading an NBA team, and he would do so in his own way. He didn't just silence the critics, he destroyed their whole arguments. Eric's coaching philosophy is so unique that while other teams and coaches are scrambling to sign impossibly big names, he's looking elsewhere. Eric maintains that he's not just about bringing talented people on board. He likes to build teams. To do that, he likes to focus on players the league has forgotten. Why? Apart from the constant pressure to make a name, underrated players have a drive to prove themselves. They'll do anything to get that spot once again after tasting rejection, buy into a new system, dive for loose balls, and even commit to defense. Eric knows this better than anyone, and he takes full advantage of it. But identifying these talents is only the first step. Adding them to the group and turning the team into a cohesive unit with the team is a different story entirely. And this is where Spoelstra thrives his best. He doesn't just pluck underrated players from different works of life. No, he does way more than that. Eric becomes a mentor, a coach, and even acts sometimes as a psychologist if needed. His coaching principles revolve around 3 key steps. The first step is his unwavering support. He has a reputation for offering his unwavering support to his players against all the odds. During the Heat's final run in 2020, Eric would constantly praise and cheer his players on, especially guys like Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero. These guys weren't exactly star players, but he showed his support anyway. The second step in his coaching principle involves having defined roles. Spoelstra is a master at defining roles and helping his players understand where they fit in his cohesive unit of a team. Whether it's the role of a three-point specialist or a morale-lifting role on the bench just waiting for their turn, Eric has clearly defined roles for everything. He makes sure every single player knows what he wants from them and impresses on them their value as a member of the team. The third and final step is his encouraging resilience. While other people take defeat lying down, he sees it as a learning opportunity. Missed shots, heavy losses, he views all of these as stepping stones to a greater height. He doesn't just embody this mindset, he instills it in his players. This helps players improve without the fear of setbacks or making mistakes. Eric Spoelstra is truly one of the best coaches to play the game. He understands that the way to winning is having a cohesive unit for a team that acts as a well-oiled machine. Eric Spoelstra's coaching journey is marked by the countless players who have thrived under his elite guidance. His pattern of coaching is so one of a kind that these players didn't just improve, they became a key part in the Heat's success. Here's a few examples of players that had been overlooked, showcasing his ability to turn them into household names. Udonis Haslem, the ultimate underdog. Udonis Haslem embodies Miami basketball. Undrafted out of college and overlooked by NBA scouts, Haslem's career could have ended before it started, but Spoelstra saw something no one else did. He saw the boy's drive, grit, loyalty, and an unwavering will to win. Of course, going undrafted would leave you with something to prove, and Spoelstra knew he could use this to an advantage. Haslem didn't just join the Heats to become another random player. He would go on to become their anchor. Under Spoelstra's guidance, he transformed him into one of the league's most impressive defensive players. Though his stats rarely jumped off the page, his impact was undeniable. Haslem was the embodiment of everything Spoelstra stood for and values in a player. From having solid discipline to good leadership skills and a team-first mentality, Haslem became Spoelstra's golden goose. Even at the start of Haslem's career, Spoelstra knew what he had in store for him and just where he would fit in. He kept him around not for the minutes he would play, but for his voice. Haslem became the Heat's locker room general, a key role that was meant to guide the team with purpose. This showed that sometimes the most valuable players don't fill the stat sheet, and Spoelstra knew just where everyone fit into his dream team, Duncan Robinson. This kid went from Division III to NBA sharpshooter. His story is the kind of underdog tale that Spoelstra normally takes an interest in. Robinson started his college career at a Division III school before transferring to Michigan. By the time the NBA draft came around, Robinson wasn't even on most teams' radar. Here's where Spoelstra came in. The Heat signed Robinson as an undrafted free agent, and Spoelstra immediately recognized his potential as a three-point specialist. Instead of letting Robinson waste away on the bench, Spoelstra put him in positions he knew he could succeed in. He designed plays to take the best advantage of Robinson's shooting ability, giving him the go-ahead to fire at will, and boy did that work out for them. The result was that Robinson became one of the league's deadliest long-range threats, setting records for three-pointers made in his first few seasons. And it all started when Spoelstra took a chance and believed in an underdog. He did this so Robinson could succeed at the level he hoped he would. A true success story that we would not have witnessed if it hadn't been for Spoelstra. Tyler Herro, Spoelstra's ability to give confidence to a debuting star is something that he demonstrated severally, and which he did again with Tyler Herro. When Tyler joined the Heat as the 13th overall pick in 2019, no one knew exactly what to expect, but Spoelstra was cooking. Under his coaching guidance, Herro blossomed into one of the most exciting young players in the league. Spoelstra didn't just give Herro playing time, he gave him freedom to be himself. Herro's confidence would grow as Spoelstra encouraged him to take those big shots and embrace those high-pressure moments. By the 2020 playoffs, Herro was in his groove, dropping 37 points in a single game against the Boston Celtics. This was an NBA playoff record for a rookie coming off the bench. Herro was able to play as much as he wanted because of the trust and guidance Spoelstra had instilled in him. This led to a fearlessness that would become the cornerstone of his game. Max Strus and Gabe Vincent, the Heat's latest finds. In recent years, Spoelstra's ability to find those underrated players hasn't lessened one bit. Max Strus, undrafted and bouncing around the G League, finally found a home in Miami thanks to the keen eye of Spoelstra. The coach would go on to use Strus as not just a role player alone. He turned him into a reliable shooter and defensive contributor. His knack for building his team still stands over the years. And there's Gabe Vincent, another undrafted gem. Under Spoelstra's guidance, Vincent became a key part of the Heat's 2023 playoff run. Spoelstra's system allowed both players to thrive by focusing on their strengths and helping them contribute in meaningful ways. Spoelstra's coaching pattern and philosophy have undoubtedly helped build scores of players, to name a few. The secret sauce: heat culture. By now, you've probably heard the term heat culture. But what does it actually mean? At its core, heat culture is about accountability, hard work, and selflessness. It's about thriving under pressure, embracing hardships, and overcoming them. And while this is a team-wide philosophy, no one drives it more than Spoelstra. He doesn't just demand excellence from his players. He inspires it. Whether you're a seasoned veteran or an undrafted rookie, he treats everyone the same, with respect, high expectations, and unwavering support. That's why the Heat consistently outdo expectations. Eric Spoelstra, the coach who wins with underrated players. What is our takeaway here? Eric isn't just a fantastic coach. He transforms his team. In a league that is often obsessed with star players and statistics, Spoelstra's philosophy reminds us that diamonds exist in the rough. He reminds us that basketball is still a team sport, his ability to see potential where others can't build systems that he believes in. His style not only elevates the overlooked and underrated, but he wins, not just with overwhelming talent, but with trust and belief in his players. From Udonis Haslem to Tyler Herro, from Duncan Robinson to Gabe Vincent, Spoelstra's career is a masterclass in coaching. He doesn't just make players better, he makes them believe. And that's why, when you think of underrated players rising to greatness, there's one name that always comes to mind: Eric Spoelstra. So, the next time you see an underrated player knocking down threes or a bench warmer hitting those clutch shots, remember, it's not just about the player. It's also about the coach who saw the potential before anyone else did. Let us know in the comments section what you think about Eric Spoelstra's coaching style. Until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe.